I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor.
Very, very rocky.
Death by government.
Drain the swamp.
Hello and welcome to another installment of Liberty Nation's Swamponomics videocast. I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor. Today, in debt we trust. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York recently published its fourth quarter total household debt and credit report. The regional central bank informed the world of terrifying numbers, including this headline figure. Household debt soared to an all-time high of $16.9 trillion in the fourth quarter of 2022. During the October to December period, consumers took on $394 billion in additional debt, despite interest rates rising to their highest levels in 15 years. Here is where most of the action took place in the previous quarter. Mortgage debt surged $254 billion to $11.92 trillion. Credit card debt increased $61 billion to $990 billion. And automobile debt climbed $28 billion to $1.55 trillion. It should be noted that other forms of debt, from home equity lines of credit to student debt, also rose at modest paces in the fourth quarter. The FRBNY also placed a spotlight on a concerning trend: the increase in the flow into serious delinquency, which is defined as 90 days or more delinquent. According to the most recent data, every category saw a boost except student loan debt. Thank you, US taxpayers. The most notable jump in serious delinquency rates was credit card debt, which rose from 3.2% to 4.01%. Suffice it to say, these are not the most flattering numbers for an economy that is, according to President Joe Biden, supposedly strong as hell. Wilbert von der Klaw, economic research advisor at the New York Fed, was blunt in the report, saying, quote, "Although historically low unemployment has kept consumers' financial footing generally strong, stubbornly high prices and climbing interest rates may be testing some borrowers' ability to repay their debts." Indeed, consumer debt has exploded over the past year, even with borrowing costs going to the moon in every part of this market. For instance, the average interest rate for a credit card in January 2023 was as high as 23.5%, meaning that debt servicing costs are enormous right now. Remember, this is all happening while consumers are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling to keep their heads above water amid 40-year high inflation. Plus, the national savings rate is still just around 3%. A plethora of consumer surveys in recent months have revealed that shoppers are depending more on their credit cards to pay for basic goods and services, be it the rent or food. Inflation has proven to be a sticky substance. In January, the annual inflation rate cooled to just 6.4%, and the month-over-month Consumer Price Index, or CPI, climbed 0.5%. Grocery store prices surged more than 11%, rent rose 8%, gasoline edged up more than 2%, and utility costs swelled at a significant pace. Sure, it is cheaper to buy a television or a smartphone, but the goods and services needed to survive are becoming more expensive and even out of reach for the average US household. Eggs are a perfect example. Put simply, many items within the CPI that showed signs of easing are beginning to rise again, making it harder not only for public policymakers who caused this mess in the first place, but also consumers. On the other side of the coronavirus pandemic, consumers are neither surviving nor thriving. They are building back broke. That's it for me this week. Please read my full Swamponomics column on the pages of LibertyNation.com, where I discuss the latest World Government Summit, inflation, and more on consumer debt. Thank you.
Entertaining, informative, and just plain fun. Watch Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5, produced by conservatives for conservatives. C5's The Left Free Zone, hosted by Liberty Nation's Lisa K. Donner, joined by a raucous, irreverent panel of authors, deconstructing leftist narratives, debating the hot topics, and remembering to laugh. Join the official conservative safe
You only
space.
did that to piss Jeff off.
Liberty Nation's The Conservative 5.
I'm Andrew Moran, Liberty Nation's economics editor.
Very, very rocky.
Death by government.
Drain the swamp.